These people do not believe in free markets any longer. They don't believe in the Constitution. They don't believe in the rule of law. They're not pro-family. They're not pro-children. They are pro their supreme leader and ripping up everything that we hold dear because they're wildly insecure and have inner child issues.
Last night on national television, what started as a typical political debate became an unforgettable moment of clarity, leaving Senator JD Vance visibly stunned. The debate focused on economic policy had been proceeding along predictable lines until Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett held up a document no one expected her to have. Calmly, she said, "Before I respond to your claims about government assistance programs, I'd like to share just one example from your home state."
Political issue, and therefore they had no ability to step in and to preside over it. And so I think that they'll arrive at the same conclusion.
The moderator nodded and the studio fell silent. What followed didn't just leave Vance speechless. It caused the audience to erupt into spontaneous applause, breaking the forum's strict no-reaction rule. The example Crockett shared didn't just win the debate. It exposed contradictions that could change how America talks about poverty and opportunity for years to come. To understand why this exchange has already generated millions of views, we first need to know who these two political figures are. Senator J.D. Vance, author of Hillbilly Elegy, rose to prominence with his memoir, chronicling his journey from a struggling working-class family in Ohio to Yale Law School in a successful Senate career. Vance built his political identity on his personal story of overcoming adversity through hard work, and he often critiques government assistance programs, arguing they create dependency. In contrast, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, a civil rights attorney and now a second-term representative from Texas, has built her career on advocating for economic opportunity and social justice. She has earned recognition for her evidence-based approach to policy, focusing on data and real-world examples from her constituents' experiences. The National Economic Policy Forum, hosted by a major news network and broadcast during prime time, was designed to address growing concerns about economic inequality. With recent studies showing record wealth gaps in America, the stakes were high. Crockett, however, had come unusually prepared, gathering detailed data from Vance's home state of Ohio to challenge his narrative about government assistance. As the forum entered its second hour, the discussion turned to government assistance programs. Senator Vance, confidently repeating his well-worn argument, criticized what he called the handout mentality, arguing that personal responsibility and hard work matter more than government support.
Biden did for 3.5 years when he did nothing but talk, but do nothing to bring the killing to a stop. So who for 3 years did nothing to end the killing. What I'm actually excited about right now is that we have a president who's engaging in energetic diplomacy.
The moderator turned to Congresswoman Crockett for her response, and that's when everything changed. "Thank you, moderator," Crockett began, her voice calm and clear. "Senator Vance, I respect your personal journey, but tonight I'd like to move beyond anecdotes and talk about evidence." She then opened a folder in front of her. "I've spent time looking at the actual data from your hometown, Middletown, Ohio. Let me share one example that might challenge your narrative." Crockett shared a piece of history. In 1992, when Vance was 8 years old, Middletown implemented an expanded child nutrition program providing free meals to all children regardless of income. This program, she pointed out, was funded by the very type of government assistance Vance now opposes. According to data from the Ohio Department of Education, the program reached 87% of children in the community, including, Crockett noted, Vance himself. The audience grew noticeably quieter. Crockett continued, "In the 5 years after this program was implemented, high school graduation rates increased by 18%. College enrollment rose by 22%. These are Ohio's official record." She slid a new document across the table. "But here's the real story. I spoke with Mrs. Eleanor Jenkins, a lunch supervisor at your school during those years. She told me something remarkable. Before the program, many children skipped lunch rather than use meal tickets that identified them as poor. But once the stigma was removed, attendance and academic performance improved." Vance's usual confident demeanor faltered. "Mrs. Jenkins specifically remembered you," Senator Crockett continued. "She recalled how you went from skipping meals to being a regular in the lunch line once all children were treated the same." Crockett then made her critical point. "Last month, you voted against the School Nutrition Enhancement Act, which would have provided similar universal meal programs across the country. You called it unnecessary government overreach, but the same program you benefited from in Middletown is what you now oppose." The audience fell silent, and Vance was clearly caught off guard. He fumbled for an answer but then shifted his position. "Well, the circumstances were different then. Today's programs aren't structured the same way." Crockett, never losing composure, responded. "But the bill you voted against last month was modeled directly on the Middletown program. It was designed with the same universal access principles, eliminating stigma. The bill explicitly references Middletown as a success story." She held up the bill text, highlighting the section that used the Middletown model as its framework. For a moment, Vance seemed genuinely at a loss for words. When he finally spoke, it was with noticeable hesitation. "I'd need to review the specifics of the bill," he said, attempting to deflect. "The bill is only 24 pages.